Hello, friends. Robert Bevan here, author of the Caverns Creatures series of comedy, fantasy novels, and short stories. With me is Sam West, and today we are going to rank all of the spells that do necrotic damage at D&D 5th edition. Anything to say about necrotic damage spells before we begin?
Death Domain, I think, cares about it, but otherwise, not really.
Yeah, it's
So there you go.
nothing inherently evil, just a damage type.
I mean, you say that, and then you read some of these names, and it's hard to not think evil is
I,
at the
I'm
heart of some of it,
I'm
you
I'm
know?
talking evil as a game mechanic
Yeah.
or anything. And I will say it'll be nice to not talk about Chaos Bolt and Chromatic Orb for once.
No prismatic spray.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's get on with the rankings. All right. We're starting with Abi Dalzim's Horrid Wilting.
This is just so you 30-foot cube. It's an 8th level spell. 150
Yes.
foot range, 30-foot cube of 10d8 necrotic damage. And it's good against plants and water elementals, and constructs of dead aren't affected. Is 10d8 damage enough for an 8th level spell slot? I don't think so. That's why I think this is probably a D, right?
I think so because and it's just damage. Like
Yeah. I
that's
mean,
that's not what I need from my 8th level spells.
like, it's not even a druid spell. It's just sorcerer wizard. And they are not in the market for 45 damage for an 8th level spell slot. They've got way better things to do. Like, if it can solve Fireball, Fireball is doing, at 8th level, in a 20-foot radius sphere, which this is a 30-foot cube, 45 and a half damage. Yeah,
That's more in a
this thing is
bigger area.
terrible.
And I
It does
mean,
something, though. So,
yeah, I mean, it does if you, for whatever reason, don't have, or if you just use a lot of spells and you've blown all your fireballs and you still want to do some damage, then yeah, it's not nothing.
yeah, if you
But
don't have Fireball on your sheet to upcast, then yeah, it does something.
oh, that's true. Yeah. All right, not enough. Next up,
Man,
we have what's that?
these are the kind of spells that make me wish we could be more generous with F tier, but I do feel like we have one standard for F tier and it can't do anything.
Yeah, and there are spells that go there.
Yeah, there are.
All right, next we have Arms of Hadar.
So this spell is disservice because it's a Warlock exclusive. It does upcast, do bonus d6 damage for every slot above first, but otherwise it's doing 2d6 necrotic damage to things within 10 feet of you, and they can't take reactions. So it kind of is a free disengage if they fail to save. I really wish they always couldn't take reactions, so you could guarantee this as a get out of jail free card. But given that you can't, its damage isn't great. It's basically a worse Burning Hands for Warlocks that you have to upcast. I'm pretty low on this thing.
How does
But
this
it
upcast?
is 1d6 damage per level.
Oh.
I think this is another D. Like, I don't think I want to put this on most Warlocks, right? Maybe it's fine. It's decent enough damage, I guess.
It is just single use, right?
Yeah. It's
What
10
level
feet
is
around you first.
Yeah, well, 10 feet around you.
Is the disengage mode on this good enough to ever justify casting it with an upcast slot? Like, I don't think so. If I ever casted this first level, I'm going to be that happy about it? Maybe.
Well, are you ever casting a spell to deny people the reactions? That's really
I don't
that's a
think
hard
so.
niche to want to lean into there.
Yeah, it's like Shocking Grasp for spell slots. I don't think I want that on my character sheet. I think its floor is still pretty high. Like 10-foot area around you sometimes is gonna hit more things than a Burning Hands. And if you're already a melee warlock, I could see wanting a damaged option that's for the melee warlock at levels 1 and 2. So I think maybe that squeaks out a C. It's not great though.
It does it's got damage and an extra thing tacked on. It's first level.
Yeah.
And I think there will be instances where you might not use it for the reaction thing, but every once in a while you'll be glad they don't have a reaction because you need to get out of there.
Yeah. I think there'll like even be level 1 or 2 fights where you're really happy to hit the one bugbear with this, so you get the disengage and the damage, right?
Yeah. It's a generous C, but
Yeah. It's close between these two.
Yeah. All right, next we have Blight.
I'm a Blade Apologist. I mean, it's not great, but on Druid specifically, I think it's fine. It's 30-foot 88 damage for a 4th level spell slot. Sure. Big chunk of damage, one target. It's not good, but like, if you're concentrating on other things that don't have area effect damage or don't have things you want to point area effect damage at, reasonable. C tier to me. It's not the end of the world.
Do druids have a lot of single target damage options?
Not really.
Well, then that fills that gap there.
Yeah. You can twin into sorcerer, that's kind of neat, right?
Yeah.
Death Domain clerics, if they can find room for this, eventually get a feature that lets them twin it. Okay.
Great.
Yeah. Neat.
All right, but it's just damage.
It's 88 damage. It auto maxes on plants, which is always funny, and it doesn't affect on other constructs. But
we've got 3 spells, and 2 of them really give it to plants.
Yeah, plants, you watch out. Necrotic damage is coming for you.
All right, Chill Touch.
So, I hate how this looks. It's like a ghostly hand that does necrotic damage, and it makes things unable to regain hit points. And then if it's undead, it has advantage on attack rolls.
What do you hate about how this looks?
It just looks weird to me. I don't know, like a spectral death hand, because it's got a range, right? Like you don't have to touch them. You send out a hand that touches things.
Right, that's right. It neither does any kind of cold damage, nor does it require touch, which is I always found that funny because it's called Chill Touch.
Almost.
Yes.
Yeah. DA damage is fine. Like the floor of this is pretty high. Its range is great at 120 feet, and I think you're more likely to care about the if it's undead as disadvantage attack rolls against you than the can't regain hit points. So like they're mediocre to non-relevant effects. So
how long does that not regaining hit points thing last?
1 round.
Oh. Yeah, that's not amazing.
No.
See?
Yeah, it's a harmless long-range damage cantrip. Again, if you can get this on Death Domain, you can Reaper it and hit 2 targets with it. I have had encounters as a Death Domain cleric against Hordes of Undead, and you feel so good when you're like throwing these things out and making a bunch of zombies have a bad time hitting you. Oh, you feel like the coolest guy on the planet. That's just like, very, very narrow. So
and that's
I think the average use case... Huh?
That's not worth a B to you?
No.
No.
Because again, it was worse than Toll the Dead.
Oops.
And Toll the Dead was an option for me there. And I hate Toll the Dead, so I went with this instead.
Well, we'll get to Toll the Dead.
Oh, okay.
But first, Circle of Death.
This is another spell that's just like, wow, Fireball exists, huh? Why is this thing here? So this is another forced upcast giant AoE. It is giant. It's a 60-foot radius sphere. But it does 8d6 necrotic damage for a 6th level spell. Guess how much Fireball damage? Or guess how much 3rd level Fireball does, Bob?
I don't remember off the top of my head.
I'll give you a hint. It's in the spell description that I just read.
I don't remember what you just said. 8d6.
It's 8d6. Okay. So you're spending 3 slots higher for a larger radius for a fireball.
Well, I mean, it's a very much larger radius.
Yeah, but like we've reached ghoulish overkill territory, right? I think this is enough less damage that you just should never cast this, right? This is just an F.
F?
Yeah.
This does something.
This does a 3rd level spell effect. Weird does a 2nd level spell effect, and we definitely say that thing's an F.
Well, no spoiler alerts, but yeah. I guess so. I just can't think of any situations where I need that much area.
No. It's not even on like a novel class for it. It's on Sorcerer, Warlock, Wizard. All of those get better damage options at way cheaper rates. This thing is genuinely terrible. This is a I'm pulling my punches as a DM kind of 6th level spell, where I want to make the players feel like I'm casting high level magic, but I'm going to opt to just cast secret 3rd level magic with Circle of Death.
Yeah. Unless the players are really far apart.
Sure. And then it also feels like a giant middle finger, right? It's like, we deliberately spread out to avoid AoE damage. You're still going to hit us all. Wow, what a dick.
All right, next, Create Undead.
Yeah, so this thing makes creatures that deal necrotic damage, right? So you can only cast it at night, and you make 3 corpses that become... Each corpse becomes a ghoul. And those ghouls... Let me pull them up. I don't remember if the ghouls are the one that do the necrotic damage or not, or if you have to get to Death Knight for that to happen. Because you can also upcast it to get whites or ghasts. And I know one of those 3 does necrotic damage. As a 6th level spell that you get some ghouls, I think this thing's pretty terrible. As a 9th level spell that gives you a couple whites that give you a small legion of undead, this thing is friggin' sweet. So I don't know, where do you want to put it?
Well, we need some upper ranks. If
I think it's an A or an S.
how high are we?
Probably an A.
How high are we upcasting to get the whites?
8th level or higher.
That's pretty big, but
It gives you a Legion of the Dead.
that's true. All right, A is fine.
Yeah, I think this thing genuinely has got some sweet applications in the upper tiers.
Yeah, if you want an army of the dead, this is the way to go about it.
Yeah.
And a lot of people want an army of the dead.
You just have to be okay, like, massacring a town or two.
Yeah.
If you want an army of the dead, that's probably fine with you.
You could use Circle of Death for that.
You could. Well, the white has to do the murder, so you can't use Circle of Death for that. So that spell keeps staying in F tier. No amount of jokes are going to take that they got F tier.
All right, next, Destructive Wave.
So this is a Paladin exclusive, and it's better on Bard that can learn it at 9th level as opposed to 17th level, because the 5th level slot. It does 5d6 Thunder, and then 5d6 Radiant or Necrotic, your choice, and knocks things prone. I'm really low on this, except for Oath of Ancients, because they can cast it as a bonus action, which is friggin' sweet. Because you can run in, 10d6 damage around you, double attack, something, smite. There's death everywhere. You killed everything near you. It's super, super cool. Big fan of it on exactly Oath of Ancients Paladin. On everyone else, yeah, it's fine. It's mediocre damage way too late in the game, but, like, it's a Paladin exclusive, so that's something, I guess.
When they were making this, do you think they said, okay, this is a 5th level spell, we're going to get a 5th level damage, or did they consider, all right, this is a spell that Paladins are getting at what 17th level? Is it?
Yeah, 17th level. Well, we can check. There's a really easy metric for this. You can upcast Fireball to check where damage is at, and an upcast Fireball does 10d6 damage. And would you look at that, this 5th level spell does 10d6 damage. So yeah, this is definitely meant to be got at 9th level.
Oh, well, that's a bummer. But
I like it on Bards a lot.
Yeah, anyone who can get it at a reasonable level.
Yeah, if you get a level 10 or 11 as a Bard, if you're like swords or something, big fan. Huge fan of that. Especially because it's selective, you get to pick what creatures in the area take the damage. It's still fine. It's probably a C tier spell. It's just uniquely bad on Paladin, because they get it at 17th level. Unless
uniquely bad on the only class that gets it.
So it's in C tier for Bard.
But I mean, how big is this area, right?
It's 30 feet around you.
It is.
So it is a large area.
I mean, if you can, if you're a paladin, even a 17th level paladin, and you're in a situation where knocking a bunch of people prone is advantageous to you, then that's something.
Sure. That's why it's in C.
All right. Hey, this one's not going to be in C. Enervation.
No, it is not. Oh boy, this is definitely the lowest spell. I think we're talking about Vampire Touch today. I take it back. This is a 5th level love child of the 2 worst spells in this game. Maybe not actual worst spells in the game, but 2 of the worst spells in this game, which are Witch Bolt and Vampiric Touch. So this is 48 necrotic damage. Sorry. I'm sorry. If you make an attack, you make a thing, make a save. If it fails to save, it takes 2d8 necrotic damage, nothing happens for your 5th level slot. Terrible rate so far. If it fails to save, you do 48 damage to it, and then you can use an action to do 48 damage to it in the future. But then it can break that action by moving far away from you, or breaking line with it, or hitting you because it takes your concentration. And you spend actions on this round after round after round, and it heals you for half the damage dealt. This thing is horrendous. This thing is so bad. 48 damage for your action out the gate, terrible rate. 48 damage for your subsequent actions at 9th level, you should be casting cantrips. F, garbage.
All right. Yeah, it's one of these bait things that but you suck the life out of them. You're gonna get some hit points back. There's not enough.
It even forces you to use it. It even says if you use your action to anything else, the spell ends. You don't even have flexibility with it. Like, you commit to just being bored for 4 rounds. At best case scenario.
Yeah.
Whew. We'll talk about that again, don't worry. Lots of illusion in this video.
All right, Finger of Death.
I don't remember what this does.
I don't know.
Target makes a con save. It takes 78 plus 30 necrotic damage. Okay, so it's 7th level
back to the zombie, right?
Oh, yeah!
Yeah.
that doesn't matter. But he does. Look, he does that. Cool. What's disintegrates
level is
damage? 7th level. It does 78 plus 30. Disintegrate does, drumroll please, while Firefox loads, 10d6 plus 40. Well, that's more, and disintegrate sure costs less.
And yeah, how much is that zombie really worth?
Probably not the damage difference. To be fair, this is still just like a chunk. If you twin this and get 2 zombies, is that good? But it's
How
something
long
you could
do
try
you
and
keep
do.
that zombie? Is that like a permanent zombie?
Yeah, it's just yours.
Oh, that's something.
Zombies suck.
I know, but if you can just like keep them in a what is that
Bag of holding and dump on people.
or bag of holding? I was thinking this spell, the storage locker spell. I forget. Anyway,
I have no idea.
demi-plane. That's it.
Oh, sure. Then you let them all out.
Yeah, you store a bunch of them, and when your horde gets big enough, you know, to the where they're not just going to be instantly annihilated, then yeah, you get that.
Yeah,
option,
this feels more to me like that's a demi-plane and a big bad's mansion, right? A big bad's lair that you open the door and go whoops, and then a million zombies come pouring out. And this is the reasoning as to why that can occur. This feels more like a DM toolbox tool to me than anything else. It's still like it is technically a giant chunk of damage. It isn't that much more than disintegrate. It does give you a little upside. So D.
D sounds good.
It's weird putting this under Blight. No, it's not. I take that back. Blight's where it belongs. This is also where it belongs.
All right. Next we have Forbiddance.
Here's another one that I sure don't remember what this thing does. I'm assuming it's like Hallow and whatnot. It's a 10-minute cast time. It's a ritual, so it's got that going for it. When does it do damage? Oh, it damages creatures that you choose when you cast it. If they enter the space, they take 5d10 necrotic or radiant. So it's like selectively damaging in defensive space. Is that good? Usually not. Defending spaces is very difficult to get a lot of juice out of, I think.
Yeah. How big is it?
40,000 square feet of floor space.
That's pretty freaking big.
It's like some buildings. To a height of 30 feet above the floor.
I mean, if you
can't teleport or use portals get there either.
I mean, I'm thinking maybe it'll be good for hunting. Like you put I don't know what some deer corn in the middle of it, and you know, deer just keep running toward it and dying.
If they're celestial, elemental, fae, fiend, or undead deer, true.
Ah, shucks. All right, are there any celestials you can eat?
Olifants?
There
You're
you
into
go.
elephant? It's one of the most evil things I think you're allowed to do is eating angels, but sure.
All right, maybe eat fiend then.
This seems like a comfortability to me just because I don't see there being that much of a reality where you're gonna have the means of like making this happen. 20 minutes is a long time, and I guess like you could use this as a bomb in a dungeon for that specific creature type, right? Like if you're in a small-ish dungeon, you go, okay, great, I'll forbidden this dungeon to kill all the zombies in it or whatever. That could be cute, right?
Yeah,
it
or
does like
if there's
persistently
some
do the
kind of
damage.
plot thing going on where the demons are coming up from hell and they're going to attack the town or whatever, you could ward off part of it.
Yeah. Well, I want to try and get away from using it as a defensive boon. Is there practical applications to this thing in adventuring? Like you're going into somewhere. Can you use forbiddance to like rid it of a specific creature type? Is that a real use case? Maybe.
Yeah, like you said with the dungeon thing, that could work. So when you're casting it, is it just the area happens around you, or do you have to like go around and ward off the area?
It doesn't say. It says it's a 10-minute cast time. It says it has range of touch, and then it says you create a ward against magical travel that protects up to 40,000 square feet of floor space to a height of 30 feet above the floor. I don't know if you need to touch all of that floor space, but I don't think so. I think you just need to touch the place that is within the area.
Okay.
But I don't know. I think your mileage may vary. And I do think it feels a little bit like cheesy to say, oh, we go into the dungeon, I kill all of the undead in it, then I kill all the elementals in it, then I kill all the celestials in it, then I kill all the fiends in it, and then we move it. That's a ritual spell, you can do that.
That makes it powerful if that works.
In those 5 specific instances, maybe. I think your DM is not going to let that fly most of the time.
No.
Because of the ambiguity, would it stick it in C tier? Because maybe there is some powerful uses to it. Comment
Yeah,
down below.
sure.
Let us know if you'd run it that way.
Yeah, that sounds like a boring way to play D&D.
We wait for 45 minutes while for the cleric cleanses the dungeon of evil.
All right, harm.
This is just more big damage, right? What? So many necromancy
This
spells
is
are just point and click damage.
I think this is the one where it can't actually kill anything.
And the damage can't reduce the target's hit points below 1, and it's 14/6 necrotic damage, which again is just worse than disintegrate. But
What level is this?
6th level for clerics only, though, so that's kind of novel. It is a lot less damage than disintegrate, and it can't kill things. I don't know, Bob. I kind of want to put this in D tier too.
Yeah, I mean, I've never wanted to not kill somebody that I'm attacking. And
If I'm
if
spending
even if I wanted to, I'll kill them and then like revivify them or something. You know?
if I'm spending a 6th level slot on a point and click damage ability, I want that to kill them.
Yes.
So this sometimes doesn't.
This
I think
never does.
I think most of the time this is gonna just be like a chunk of like the boss's 200 hit points, but it's gonna be usually pass it because it's con save. Yeah, not a fan. D seems fair. Like we're not even that high on disintegrate, right? And this is definitely worse than disintegrate by like a lot.
I guess maybe if all right, you're teamed up with a fiend warlock and you want him to get the kill so he gets those bonus hit points.
The 4 bonus hit points at
Yes.
13th level or whatever. Yeah, great.
I'm gonna bring him down to 1 and then you stab him with your dagger.
That's how you gain 4 or 5 extra temp HP out of a 6th level spell. We've done it. We've broken harm. The worst part
All
is,
right.
right, like, the damage conceptually gets worse because it goes to 1, right? Like, if it has 30 hit points, you only do 29 damage, even if you roll the 45, right? Oh, man. What a stinker.
All right, next we have Hex.
I like Hex a lot. I think
fun.
Hex is a good little spell. It is a really easy play pattern for a lot of warlocks. If you want to learn how to play warlock and like this game, and generally speaking, and you're worried it's going to be complicated, you can just take Hex and Eldritch Blast and Agonizing Blast, and then whatever else you want for the rest of the time. And your combat's going to look very samey. You're going to put a Hex on somebody, you're going to shoot them with your Eldritch Blast, you're going to move that Hex and shoot them with your Eldritch Blast, right? Like you just got a bonus d6 damage on all your hits. I'm a big fan. I think this is like a solid little B of a spell.
Okay.
It's not for every build. Melee builds definitely don't want it as much as ranged builds do. But yeah, sure, why not? Bonus damage on hit. I'm a fan.
Sure.
It's cheap.
Yeah, it is that.
You can like move out of it as you get into the upper tiers, so you don't need the damage that badly, and you want to spend your slots on bigger, better things. That's fine.
What level is it?
First.
Okay, yeah, it's a standard warlock fare.
Yeah.
All right. Illusory Dragon.
Right up to A tier. I'm so glad we get to talk about this one every single time we talk about damage types.
It's got a lot of damage types. Or
it does.
Because you get to choose the type of dragon damage, right?
Yep. It's acid, cold, fire, lightning, necrotic, or poison. Necrotic is actually kind of the odd man out there, but repeatable 76 cone of this over and over again for an 8th level spell slot. Yeah, that's freaking sweet. It's a giant dragon. It flies around, does 60 or an enormous cone. Oh, yeah, 60-foot cone. 60 feet repeatable. 2 rounds of this and you're happy. 3 rounds, you're ecstatic, and you're often going to get more than that.
If there's anybody left.
Yeah, this thing's sweet. Big fan of Illusory Dragon.
Me too. Next, Inflict Wounds.
I'm a sucker for this thing.
Really running out of names here. We got Harm and Inflict Wounds.
We need to just deal damage. That's just the name of the spell. Deal damage. So this is a melee attack for 3d10 necrotic damage for a 1st level spell slot. Cleric exclusive. Listen, while it's fickle, and I'm on record not liking things like Chromatic Orb because I hate when my spells miss, there is really a good feeling of rolling 3d10 at level 1. Like you'll walk up to a goblin that's got 6 hit points, and you like just look, stand over and look down, just point your finger on its forehead, and it just dies. I like that thematic. I like it a lot. This thing does genuinely feel like a truckload of damage at level 1. So I think that can, like, it's still not great. It's still probably like a C tier, right? It's worse than Guiding Bolt by a pretty large margin.
See? Wow, all right.
You have to touch it.
That's true.
It costs a resource. Like, how much better than this? How much better than a great attack with a great sword is this, right? 2d6 plus 3 versus 3d10. It's not that much more damage, and it requires more cost. It's on a specific class. Like, I don't know.
Yeah,
It's not anything to write home about. Do you think it should be B?
I don't know. I mean, it's cleric exclusive. Are clerics using great swords?
War Domain is. The melee ranged ones tend to have their weapon of choice.
Yeah.
Maybe like Tempest Domain want to be doing specifically lightning damage, so they don't really want this. Death Domain could use this, but they already have Reaper that they'd rather be twinning cantrips all the time. So like,
Yeah, but even if they, I mean, it's still, yeah, you're replacing a regular attack with this because
yeah, it's
yeah, C sounds fine.
if you ever miss with it, you're like, man, I wish I just made an attack with my mace and missed instead.
All right. Next up, life transference.
This is a really bizarre little spell. So it's from Xanathar's. It is truly, truly, truly awful. So you sacrifice some of your health to met another creature's. You take 48 necrotic damage, which is where the necrotic damage comes in. Cannot be reduced in any way. And then a creature within range gains twice that many hit points. F.
I don't. F?
Easy F.
There's got to be situational uses for this.
It takes an action to cast.
Yeah.
Imagine you're in a fight, right? You got a
Okay.
paladin in the front lines, right? They're at 5 or whatever. Maybe they go unconscious. You're a
Yeah.
cleric. Am I going to do 48 damage to myself to get them back up?
Or you could healing word them.
Yeah, I'm certainly not going to do that. And now, the other option you could do is you can put this on a wizard, and wizards have even fewer hit points. Nope, I'm not
Okay.
killing myself to get them up. I'm not doing that. That's a net positive for the enemy team. That's saying
That's true.
now the wizard's unconscious instead of the paladin. No, hard pass. Absolute trash. Terrible spell. Truly,
I'm
truly
just saying
abysmal spell.
Yes. Generally speaking, I think you're right, but there are probably cases where it worked out all right.
It's a 3rd level slot.
Yeah. Yeah, no, F is fine. Yeah, it's
You're saying there in time and space there's existed a moment where this has
yes.
saved someone's ass.
Yes. Okay. But
Commenters,
that's
let
not
me know
enough
if
to
that's
get
been
it
you.
up to D.
I agree. Definitely not enough to get it up to D.
Okay. Yes. This is actively harmful.
Yeah, usually net negative for the party.
Yes. All right. Negative energy flood.
So this is a 5th level spell. You send ribbons of negative energy at one creature. Unless it's undead, it makes a Constitution save or takes 5 to 10 necrotic damage or half as much success. If it's killed by it, it rises as a zombie at the end of your next turn. And then it pursues whatever creature is closest to it, so you don't actually control it. If it's an undead, you target it, gets hit points back.
What level is this?
5?
Mm.
How's 5d10 damage look for a 5th level spell slot? 32.5 is not the end of the world. It's not great. Blight's what, 98? So Blight is a lot more damage than this.
How is this different from Finger of Death?
Finger of Death is
you don't control
7th level, and you get to control the zombie.
That's...
I honestly don't know how much better that is, to be honest.
No.
Right? Like if you kill an archer and the zombie rises, and now that zombie archer, like they go, oh no, a d6 bludgeoning damage, maybe. Who cares?
Yeah. I mean, the only thing I'm really going to do with the zombie is tell it to attack people, and this one will do that on its own.
And like, even if it attacks you, you go, oh bummer, unlucky, I lost the coin flip that it hit me instead of the other thing close to it, right? For
well,
a
no,
whole
you
d6 plus
know
1.
better than to be closer to it than somebody else.
My reality is I don't care really if it's close to me because I'm not scared of it. It's got like +2 to hit.
All right, where's this going?
Yeah, have we reached? I don't think we've reached F tier once again. I think this is D. This does something neat. It doesn't do enough damage, but it does something neat.
It looks about right level with Finger of Death.
Yeah, I think those two are pretty comparable, right?
Yeah.
I will say this for necrotic damage spells. I think they're more aimed at being monster spells than player spells a lot of the time, and I think these two are really clear examples of that, where like the villain kills one of your party or allies, one of your NPC allies, and they come back as a zombie, and that kind of shows an evil motive and an evil like necromancer doing their thing. This feels like a monster ability that the players just have access to, more so than it actually feels like a player toolbox kind of thing.
Yeah.
So they kind of deserve to exist. They're just not good on your character sheet.
Not according to this chart. Let's see if we can get some winners.
Any and
How
S?
about,
Will we end with any and S? Take your bets.
well, we've got a lot of summons coming up, but not yet. First, we have Sapping Sting.
This is a neat little cantrip from Explorer's Guide to Wildmount. I like this thing a lot, actually. So it's 30-foot range. You sap Vitality of a target. It makes a con save or takes a D4 necrotic damage and falls prone. I like that a lot, especially in the low tiers.
Yeah.
I think it's really neat. It's like a version of the Vicious Mockery, but it's more offensive as opposed to defensive, right? I want to give this a B. I like it a lot.
B? B sounds good. It's cantrip. You can keep knocking people on their asses all day. That's fun.
Yeah. You're not going to want to cast it past like 3rd level, but in the low tiers, this is a really easy way to conserve resources, right? Like this feels like a better version of Grease in a lot of ways because it does a little bit of damage and drops things prone, whereas that's like a little force evasive thing that might drop somebody prone anyway. And this is way cheaper.
At all tiers of play, you will find times where it's valuable to drop someone prone, like flying creatures.
True. If it's within 30 feet, that grounds them. That's pretty sweet. That's if they don't have hover.
Well, I'm talking about like, all right, if you're in an aerial battle, you're flying around in your Pegasus, swoop by, point at the other guy, fly out at his Pegasus, and send him crashing to the ground.
Yeah. There's always the question of, is this better than a higher level spell slot? I think there might be real instances, like you're right, there may be real instances where you go, we need that dragon on the ground. This better land, Sapping Sting.
All right, yeah, I think you can have fun with this.
The ceiling is pretty low though, right? It's a D4 damage and drop anything prone. There will be encounters where they go, and nothing else happens. You did no damage.
Yeah, cantrip. That's fine.
Yeah, agreed.
All right, Shadow of Moyle.
This spell. So until it ends, you have resistance to radiant damage. Whenever a creature within 10 feet of you hits you with an attack, it takes 2d8 necrotic damage.
This is
Concentration.
The upgraded Armor of Agathis.
Yeah, but definitely not actually better than Armor of Agathis. If I'm taking damage, my concentration is going to fall off, and this does damage when I take damage.
Yes, that's not an ideal combination.
No, that's not an ideal combination in the slightest. I wish it was attacks you, because then you could, like, imposing disadvantage and having Devil's Sight. Like, if you still get the damage even if they miss, I think that'd be pretty cool. It's sure not what written, though, so I am very, very low on Shadow of Moyle.
I mean, if you have the means to protect your concentration, then it might have a little more juice.
It's still kind of, like, you stack this on top of Armor of Agathis is the gimmick, right? But the setup cost for this is an action. So you're spending an action for a minute of 2d8 damage. So you're running in, you go, hit me! Things get darker around him. Tentacles start spewing out. They have to be within melee range, right? Within 10 feet of you, so functionally melee range. Yeah. It might turn dim light to darkness, it might turn bright light to dim light. Do I care? I don't think I care.
Not usually.
I kind of want to fail this thing.
Was it that bad?
Yeah, not as much as Circle of Death or Innovation or Life Transference. All right, you convinced me. D is fine.
Okay.
It's not good. You might get, if you get 48 damage out of it, you're really bummed. This is a 4th level spell. And that means you've been hit twice. Is this better than those things at the bottom?
Well, if you...
How many times do you need to get hit for this to be worth it?
Does it... Well, all right, explain to me one more time. What does it do exactly?
Shadows around you turn dim light into darkness and bright light into dim light. Right, and then if you have resistance to radiant damage, and if something within 10 feet of you hits you with an attack, it takes 2d8 necrotic damage.
Well, you don't actually... You're not protected by this.
No, unless they're doing radiant damage.
Yeah. Oh, that's tough.
I want to fail this. I think this is really, really bad. It takes an action to set up. I don't see it.
Yeah, you've talked me into it. I mean,
I feel like we've talked about this and I've given it a better rating than this before. I don't see why. Commenters, let me know if you're a big Shadow of Moyle apologist. What's good about this spell?
There are fans out there, who watch this channel.
I get Armor of Agathis' love because it's like a really cool build direction and it will do things with a 5th level slot. I do not get it here. This seems terrible.
Unless you are leveraging the light thing.
Maybe, but then you Like, it doesn't even, if you're in bright light, this does nothing for you for Devil's Light stuff, right? You
Yeah.
have to also be able to control the light.
Yeah. All right. Let's move on.
Seems awful.
Yeah. Spirit Guardians.
Oh, way less awful. I love this
Yeah.
spell. So it's cleric exclusive. You make a bunch of spirits around you. You can have them appear fiendish. That's how they do the necrotic damage. Whenever you cast a spell, you designate a number of creatures that are unaffected. Things area or an affected creature's speed is halved while within the area around you. So 15 feet. You have 15. They have 15 feet around you is the radius.
Yes.
An affected creature. When the creature enters the area for the first time on a turn or starts its turn there, it makes a Wiz save or takes 3d8 radiant damage or necrotic damage in this case. Sure, I like
Yeah,
it a
I like
lot.
that.
This feels very much like Cleric Fireball to me. This is the way clerics get to do their area effect damage. It's worse, and that's good because it's a different role, but it is like a protective kind of, I do damage around me, I want to be in the middle of things, I want to be behind the paladin doing this damage out. It'll usually trigger twice, right? Because you can get something to enter the space and then start its turn there. Big fan of all those things.
How long does this last?
Concentration 10 minutes, so you can prep this really easily.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah. It's even like you don't mind in combat having to use this, and you'll at least get 3d8 damage out of it from multiple creatures, usually 68. And if you ever get 68, you are thrilled. That's fireball damage, you've made it. And it sometimes will get more.
Yeah, this serves to protect you and those who you would rather not get attacked. Or you can just use it offensively, run up to people.
Then you have the concentration issue, but yeah, sure.
Yeah.
There are hiccups with this. It isn't perfect.
But it's a concentration spell that kind of helps you maintain your concentration. You know, people don't want to enter this space. You know?
Yeah. I tend to view it more as you're ideally in that space with another threatening ally that's going to draw some of the fire. It's like, I like being by my paladin with this, my fighter with this. You can do this at semi-range, right? And if only one thing's hitting you, you feel like you're going to be able to maintain that concentration better. You can, if you have high AC, right? Like, you can just kind of build to defend this. Clerics are decent at defending their concentration.
Yeah.
So I think you can expect to get 2 rounds out of this pretty consistently. And I do think with that floor, B seems reasonable. It's still very short range. You can't like throw this at the enemies in the back line. You still have to get in the middle of things. It's still conditional on having lots of enemies around you. There are conditions to this thing, but in a lot of fights, this will be great.
All right, next up we have Spirit Shroud.
This is like Hex with extra steps. So it's a 3rd level necromancy for clerics, paladins, warlocks, and wizards. You call for spirits of the dead. When you attack, you deal a bonus d8 damage to creatures you hit that are within 10 feet of you. So it doesn't work with blasters, really unfortunately. It's radiant or necrotic or cold, your choice. Any creature that takes damage can't regain hit points. In addition, any creature of your choice that you can see that starts to within 10 feet of you has speed reduced by 10. The notable thing about this is it upcasts at every 2 slots above the slot that have 3rd, you get an extra d8. That's kind of where warlocks shine with it. Is a 5th level slot. You do 2d8 damage, and you're thirsting blading, and you're getting 2d8 bonus damage twice. I don't see it.
Who's this for?
Warlocks, paladins, wizards, and clerics.
Huh. All right. I'm not thrilled about this on wizards.
So, like, we talked about Hex and put it in B tier. That's a 1st level spell that gives you bonus d6 on hit. That works on a larger range, and I think does 95% of what this does, right? This is a slightly bit more damage, but otherwise almost no other meaningful text, and is forced to be melee range.
Yeah, Hex you can use range, right?
Yeah.
And this is concentration?
Yeah.
It's another trap where you you got concentration, but you're forced to get into the heat of battle. That's not where you want to be.
No. Comfortable D?
Is there any value? How long are they not able to regain hit points?
The start of your next turn.
Yeah, so just 1 turn. I mean, there's a few spells we've talked about that do this, and I just don't see any real value in it.
Do you want to put it at F?
No. I mean, it does something. I'm just saying, like that whole, like chill touch. You can't regain hit points for a round. I mean, who is that helping against? Trolls. That's it.
Yeah.
And other parties they were going to cast some healing, and now they're not. Like, I'd kind of rather they cast, waste their turn casting the healing spell.
Kind of agree. Yeah.
Yeah. All right,
Pretty
comfortable D.
pretty terrible. First S of the day, summon Draconic Spirit right into ST. Yeah, right. Because I look at the ones that come after it. I think I like one of them more than this.
Well,
Normally, this is
there can be levels of S.
there can be levels of S. That thing that's kind of like what A's for, though. I think because this is
I,
higher level than some of the other ones we're going to talk about, I think that probably puts it in an A. It is still really cool. You get a dragon companion that's flying around doing stuff, but it's a 5th level slot, and the 5th level slots are really comparatively high for the summon effects, I think.
who's this for?
This is a Druid Sorcerer Wizard spell. And they have no shortage of summon effects. Now it is a friggin' dragon. And that's why it's an A. It's a companion that's got bread weapon that's fighting around and stuff. I think it's around Illusory Dragon, honestly, but I don't know. I do think it's close. It's S or A.
Yeah. If we know we got some S's coming, then that's fine. We can fill up some A slot there. But
We
I
have
mean,
one S coming, I think.
we got you say 5th level is high, but I mean these are the 3 classes 4 are all full casters. I mean, they're gonna have the slots eventually.
Sure, 9th level isn't the end. Like, 9th level is achievable. That's a good point.
Yeah.
It's just like S kind of like defines its tier, and by the time you get this, I don't know how much better it is than Summon Undead, than Summon Shadow Spawn, than Summon Fae, than any of those other effects, right?
Yeah.
And you can upcast all those for the similar effects. So,
all right, well let's start the summons. We got 2 of them. Summon Fiend.
this is a 6th level slot that has the exact same thing that Summon Chronic Spirits got going for it. So I think it comfortably goes in the A tier as well. The Fiends are actually kind of boring. So one of them just devils throw fireballs at people. Not fireballs that explode, just single target fireballs. Yugoloths claw things and demons bite things. And like some of them see through magical darkness and stuff, but most of them aren't that exciting. It's around where I think Summon Draconic Spirit is.
Except dragons can fly around and
So can these.
Yeah. Oh, they can? Okay. That'll work then.
Yeah, devils get 60-foot fly speeds. And they're large, so you can ride the devil if you'd prefer.
Ride the devil. That's
it's the name of either a really, really old porno or a really awesome metal album. One of the two.
I was gonna say if I eventually go into directing porn, that'll be a title.
Excellent.
All right.
All right, this one gets S tier. This is Summon Undead.
Summon Undead. Oh,
this is a 3rd level. Is the reason.
Not gonna be directing that one.
No.
Ride the zombie.
I feel like that is also somehow still in your wheelhouse, that knowing what shingles are about. So these are, again, multi-attacking summon effects that come way cheaper, which is why I like it. Ghostly can go through walls, which is really, really cool and really unique. It's a pretty powerful effect. Putrid get this aura that poisons things. That's pretty useful. Skeletons shoot things with grave bolts. Like, I like almost all of these effects, and I do think there are reasons to cast this instead of Draconic Spirit, namely for Ghostly. So I think, based off of how cheap it is, its flexibility in upcasting, its multi-attacking, I think this one earns the eke up above the higher costed ones.
It's got more going for it than just, all right, there's a summoned creature that's going to fight for me.
Yeah.
They can do different things. That's value.
You have the modality of 4th, 3rd, 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th levels with it. You can cast it all those different times, and that'll be good. Like this a lot.
Summon Undead. Next, Symbol.
Symbol is horrendous, right? Am I thinking of the right spell? So Symbol is a 7th level spell. It's got a cast of a minute, and it makes like a glyph of warding kind of deal.
Yeah.
And then it has all those cool effects. So like Death, Discord, Hopelessness. Which is my favorite of them all. 10d10 necrotic damage is death. That's where the necrotic damage comes in. And it triggers it like a glyph of warding. So you give it direction and things that approach it explode. 7th level is way too high for this.
Yeah,
and 3rd level spell.
And it's another one of those, the creatures have to come to this rather than you get to use it wherever you want. Said casting time of a minute.
Yeah.
That's rough, but I mean, it's maybe not crippling if you can like stay hidden or something for a minute and cast this when you're near enough. It's not like glyph of warding is like 10 minutes or an hour or something, right?
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, that's a lot less usable in the moment.
But it
This,
also has way higher munchkin potential. Like you
yeah,
can double up concentration effects. This never does that.
right. But I'm saying this, you can actually you might be able to cast it somewhere where you need it right before combat starts.
I
If you
don't
can,
know. It's just like even if you do succeed in that, all of the effects like fear is just a worse version of the spell fear.
yeah,
So like a lot of this stuff, I don't even know if it's worth the 7th level slot that you're getting. Like pain is incapacitation, that's a big deal. Stunning is, stun, that's a big deal. So maybe those
yeah.
two are worth it. Can this get a
What
C
is
or should this be a
hopelessness?
D? Charisma saving throw, or they're overwhelmed by despair. They can't attack or target any creatures with harmful abilities, spells, or other magical effects for a minute.
Just not worth it.
Yeah. Notably, there's no subsequent saves on that, so they will be. There's no subsequent saves on any of these. Okay, that makes them a lot more novel.
Yeah. All
See?
right. If you talk yourself up to C,
Maybe? Have I talked you up to anything like C?
yeah, I'm feeling generous.
Sure, let's go with C.
All right. All right. I'm gonna need to scoot the thing up. Time Ravage.
The hell is Time Ravage?
I think that ages people, right?
That sounds like what that does. It's from the Explorer's Guide to Malmont. It's a 9th level spell. You target a creature. The target makes a con save or takes 10d12 necrotic damage, which is not worth the 9th level spell. And then it also ages. If the save fails, the target also ages to the point where it has only 30 days left before it dies of old age.
Um, that's novel.
This is getting at least a D. Because that text is amazing. Now, wishing greater resto and the effect, but like, come on. That's kind of cute. It's
Yeah,
definitely not higher than D, though. 10 to 12 card damage for 9th level spell is pretty terrible.
you gotta turn somebody into a 97-year-old man and say, "All right, you got 30 days to find a wish. Good luck."
So I would be more worried to be like, someone casts this on me and goes, "Oh, I aged 6 years. What does that mean about how I've lived my life? What have I
Whoa.
done to my body?"
Yeah, that's scary.
The real fear is regret. There'd be some kind of catharsis in knowing, oh, I aged to the lovely old age of 89, but if you aged like your mid-40s, uh-oh. D seems fair, though, right?
Yeah, that's fine.
All right.
All right, here it is. Toll the Dead.
I hate that I'm going to give this thing an A. Because I hate this thing thematically. I think it looks so stupid. It's a Dolores Bell. Sorry, Dolores. Dolores? Is that how we
I don't
pronounce
know
that?
what that word means.
It's like,
I,
let's Google it. Google is free. Dolores.
I just thought that was a woman's name.
The feeling of, how does it just sound? Feeling or expressing great sorrow or distress. So it's just like minor chord, like but bells make a single sound and notes aren't intrinsically not important.
Like
Commenters, let me know what a Dolores sound sounds like whenever it's a
a
bell.
gong.
That's a tone. Gongs don't
Yeah.
have any major or minor connotation to it. You need chords for major or minor connotations. Not important. This
It
does the
sounds
most
like a
damage.
woman named Dolores.
That also could, you know what? That's got to be the real answer. I'm just envisioning like you cast a spell, you just hear bell. Love that. Anyway,
What
D12,
does this actually do?
a D8 damage if they're at full health, or a D12 and at range 60 feet. This is just the highest range damage option in the game. It's the new default over Firebolt. You just take this because most of the time you're going to do a 60-foot range D12 damage. That's great. That's fine. It pantses all the other damage spells, and for that reason, it is the best option you get as Cleric, Warlock, and Wizard.
All right, Toll the Dead.
The high damage cantrip, it sets the bar. I think that deserves an A. Maybe it should be in B. Commenters down below. Let me know what you think.
Hey, you know what doesn't deserve an A or a B?
Hmm.
Vampiric Touch.
Oh, you know where to put this bad boy.
Yeah. Right in the trash.
Right in the dumpster. Why is this spell utter garbage, Bob? We've talked about it at length so many times.
All right. This is another concentration, right?
Yep.
You cast it on self, but you have to touch the creature that you want to affect. So you can't even, but because you're casting it on self, that means you can't even do any of the familiar nonsense with it. Like, all right,
Correct.
you go do that. So you do a little bit of damage.
Yeah, 3d6, roughly the damage of a greatsword.
Yes. the benefit is supposed to be that you're sucking the life out of your victim, which you might. And how much do you get back?
Half.
Half. All right.
So if we're
So
looking at 3d6, it's an average of 10.5, so 5 hit points you might
all right,
heal.
but in order for this to take the full effect, you have to already be wounded, which means you're going into this knowing you're vulnerable. You're putting your concentration at risk, and if you do get hit again, you're likely to lose the concentration and be hit for more than you regain in the first place.
Yeah, by like a lot. And
Yeah.
it's a 3rd level slot is to cap all that off, right?
Oh yeah.
Like you're spending a huge resource to make functionally one attack roll that is mid at best, like a mediocre attack roll. Inflict wounds out damage is this thing. That's the 1st level spell.
And and our other 3rd level spell options include Fireball.
So
There you go.
never ever cast this. Actual uncastable garbage.
Man, that's I'm a sucker for these kind of effects, but no, it just doesn't do it.
I love playing this character archetype, right? The gain drain fantasy is
Yeah.
deeply thematically fitting. I play League of Legends, and I recently had a game where I just got to wail on a tank for 45 seconds as a twitch, and I just watched my health bar go all the way back up after it was so close to death. It's a great time. Feels good.
Yeah.
This sure doesn't do that in Dungeons and Dragons.
No, I mean, even if it worked properly, I mean, like I said, it's a 3rd level slot. That's an extremely limited resource. You're not going to be seeing your health bar go to full by repeated castings of this.
No. Like at 5th level, you need to connect with this thing like 6 times for it to return half your hit points to full.
Yeah.
Like that's never happening. It's never occurring.
All right. And our last one, Wither and Bloom.
I honestly don't know where to put this thing. It's neat. So the reason it's neat is it's a way for sorcerers and wizards to heal. This is a druid sorcerer wizard spell that's a 2nd level necromancy, 10-foot radius sphere. Each creature of your choice makes a con save or takes 2d6 damage on a failed save. Necrotic. In addition, one creature of your choice in the area can spend and roll an unspent hit die. So you can heal a person and do damage to things modally for a 2nd level slot, so it's a little bit overcosted. But it's on classes that don't normally have healing. So I'm like, on Sorcerer, it's a little bit tough to get this on your sheet, but on Wizard, I actually see this being a thing you consider putting on your character sheet, which makes it a C, maybe a B.
Listen to what you just said, though. You're doing damage in an area, right?
Yeah. You get to, it's selective, so you get to pick what creatures in the area are taking the damage, and then you can have someone else in that area regain hit points.
So, like Vampiric Touch, except it's 2nd level and it works.
Oh yeah,
yeah,
sure. And it gives hit points to someone that needs them, whereas you don't necessarily need them.
There you go.
You can use this on unconscious creatures. Like it's a big deal.
And you don't have to touch anybody.
Yep. 60-foot range. You can be very comfortably safe and far away for this to do anything. B sound good to you?
B? Yeah, all right. Just, I mean, anything sound like that. It became after Vampiric Touch alphabetically is a happy coincidence because it just sounded so much better after we just talked about it.
Yeah, 2d6 in an area for a lower level slot versus 3d6 to one thing you have to touch.
Yes.
Oh boy. Anything to move around?
You're not actually sucking out their energy and making it your own. I mean, they have to use their hit dice, but
that's not going to be a problem.
Yeah.
You can even just like, if you take a short rest, be like, everyone hold on to 1 hit dice so I can get you off 0.
Yeah.
That's not a high bar to clear.
All right. Well, how does this still look to you?
I don't think anything needs to move. I'm happy with Albo Dalsim's Horde Wilting in D and Circle of Death and F. I do think those were both those belong, even if they're kind of similar. After that, nothing stands out. I think this is pretty decent.
Yeah, everything looks good to me, but we'll see what the viewers think.
Yeah,
viewers at home, do you think we botched any of these? Anything deserve to be higher or lower? You love Vampiric Touch?
Yeah, which of these would you move the most is always a question I like to answer too. Like if you're gonna move like a C to a B or a B to a C, I'm like, yeah, sure, reasonable people, whatever. Maybe just on the day I was feeling funky. But if you want to move like an F to an A, I want to know why. That sounds like a very radical shift, and maybe I'm misunderstanding something crazily,
Yes, let us know your thoughts. All right, that was all the necrotic damage dealing spells. Thank you, Sam. Thank you, everyone, for watching. Leave your comments down below and like and subscribe, and we'll see you next time. Goodbye.